History often moves slowly. Empires rise over decades. Power shifts across generations. Borders change inch by inch. But sometimes, history moves faster than anyone expects. Sometimes, everything changes in just a few moments. This is the story of 15 minutes that decided a century of power. Before those moments, the balance of power looked stable. One side had dominated for years. Its authority was accepted. Its strength rarely questioned. Armies had marched, treaties had been signed, and rivals had learned to live in its shadow. Nothing suggested that this dominance was about to end. Then came one battlefield, one decision, one brief window of time. As dawn broke, both sides believed they understood what was about to happen. Soldiers stood in formation, gripping weapons that had served them for years. Commanders reviewed plans they trusted. Banners rose in the morning light. Confidence filled the air, especially among those who had ruled for generations. No one expected collapse. No one expected history to accelerate. The battlefield was quiet at first. Too quiet. The kind of silence that exists only before something irreversible begins. Men waited. Horses shifted their weight. Eyes scanned the horizon. Every hot beat felt louder than the last. Then movement began. At first, it seemed routine. A push forward. A standard maneuver. Something armies had done countless times before. But beneath the surface, something was different. A formation moved faster than expected. A gap opened where none should have existed. A command reached the front line seconds too late. In war, seconds matter. Within minutes, the rhythm of the battle changed. What had been balanced suddenly tilted. One side pressed harder, the other hesitated. That hesitation, barely noticeable, was everything. Momentum shifted. Soldiers sensed it before commanders did. They felt it in the pressure of advancing shields, in the speed of the opposing force, in the sudden realization that control was slipping. Confidence wavered. Discipline strained. 5 minutes had passed. Orders were shouted. Signals were raised. Leaders tried to restore balance. But battles are not paused while plans are corrected. They move forward relentlessly, punishing hesitation and rewarding decisiveness. A critical position fell, a line bent, a formation fractured. The ground filled with dust and noise. Visibility dropped. Sound distorted. Communication became guesswork. Units no longer knew what was happening beyond a few steps in front of them. This was the turning point. Not because one army was stronger, but because one reacted faster. While the old power tried to stabilize, the challenger pushed forward without pause. They did not wait to confirm success. They created it. 10 minutes had passed. Panic began where discipline once stood. Soldiers looked over their shoulders. Officers struggled to be heard. Retreats began in isolated pockets, then spread. What had been a controlled withdrawal quickly became disorder. The century-old power, built on reputation and dominance, suddenly looked fragile. In these moments, history shows no mercy. Past victories offer no protection. Long-held authority provides no shield. Power exists only where control exists, and control was disappearing fast. Final 5 minutes were decisive. A last attempt to hold ground failed. Escape routes narrowed. The field belonged to those who moved first and fastest. Banners fell, resistance faded. The outcome, once unthinkable, became unavoidable. In just 15 minutes, everything changed. When the dust finally settled, the battlefield looked deceptively calm. Bodies were counted. Survivors regrouped. Commanders stared at the ground, realizing what had been lost. But the true impact could not be measured immediately. Because what ended on that field was not just a battle, it was an era. The power that had shaped politics, alliances, and wars for generations was broken. Rivals no longer feared it. Allies no longer depended on it. The balance of power shifted not slowly, but violently. News traveled fast. Across cities and courts, reactions ranged from disbelief to celebration. Leaders who had lived under one order now prepared for another. New ambitions formed. Old certainties vanished. All because of 15 minutes. Historians would later analyze the moment endlessly. They would debate tactics, decisions, and mistakes. They would argue over leadership and luck. But beneath every explanation lay the same truth. Power is fragile. It does not disappear gradually. It collapses suddenly when momentum turns against it. Centuries of dominance can be undone faster than anyone expects, if the right moment is seized. Though 15 minutes proved something history repeats again and again. That control matters more than tradition, that speed matters more than size, that hesitation can destroy what strength alone cannot protect. Long after the battlefield returned to silence, the consequences remained. Borders shifted, alliances realigned. A new century of power began, shaped by a moment few had seen coming. This is why history is not only about long timelines and slow change. It is also about brief windows where everything is decided. 15 minutes, one battlefield, a century rewritten. And that is why this moment still matters. Because it reminds us that power is never permanent. It only waits for the moment it is challenged and defeated.